for Drake May or Jalen Hurts?
I think it's a bigger deal for Drake.
Me too.
Like, we've seen what Mahomes as a young quarterback had Tyreek Hill and obviously Travis Kelce. We saw what Stephon Diggs did for Josh Allen. Heck, remember what DeAndre Hopkins did for Kyler Murray, in Arizona. So, and I know he had Diggs last year, but Diggs isn't, in his prime.
He thought really Diggs was better than A.J. Brown last year, to be fair.
Their numbers.
His production was.
But you would admit Brown's a better receiver at this point.
Yes. A.J. Brown is a better.
But their numbers last season
Diggs was good for him. But Brown is just another level. He can obviously beat his man anytime. And then you still got Booty and they got a nice little receiver.
Seems like oddly Booty might be on the way out now. But that was reported a few hours ago. But
I love this for Drake.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger deal for Drake May because of the fact that he did have Diggs last year, and now you get a younger version, you get a arguably more dynamic version with upside, and that's going to be really important to him. But this could also be great for Jalen Hurts. Sometimes there is addition by subtraction, and whatever the issues were, whether it was a chemistry issue, whether it was a personality, whatever the issue was, there was a significant issue between him and Jalen Hurts, and it'll give him a fresh start, and it'll give Jalen Hurts a different group to work with. So it could actually end up, and it seems strange to say that when you lose a quality player, but it could end up helping Jalen.
I think it's a huge deal for Drake, a huge deal for the Patriots, and a huge deal for our return to the Super Bowl. Question for you. Is Drake and A.J. Brown a top 5 combination in the league? I'll give you just on yards. There's a lot of ways to split the atom here. Just yards. Darnold and JSN were 1. Stafford and Puka were 2. Dak and George Pickens were 3. Burrow and Chase were 4. Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
So that's just the top 5 in receiving yards.
That's just top 5 receiving yards with all I just added their quarterbacks. Ravens and Zay Flowers were 7th. So can Drake May and A.J. Brown, you could say if there's another top 5 in there.
Did you say Burrow and Chase?
Yeah, Burrow and Chase, they were 4th. I just put yards, just I think those are the top combos. CeeDee Lamb maybe, but he's just below.
So they're doing it because they expect it to be, for sure.
I think they would be top. I think that is now a top 5 combination.
Well, I don't know that I view what you're saying combination, but those are just the receiving yards.
They're really just receiving
yards. Will A.J. Brown be
my top 5?
Will A.J. Brown be top 5 in the NFL in receiving yards this year? He expects to be, and the Patriots expect him to be if he's there.
Top 5.
I think that is true. But I think it's a bigger deal for Jalen because nobody wants I'm going to take Kevin Wilde's word for it on this. Drake May and Stephon Diggs last year, you were adamant, even though you didn't do that little fancy math there.
They were 16th in yards.
Correct, but you thought they were a top 5 duo.
I didn't think they were a top 5 duo.
I think you said
KW.
Actually, you know what?
KW.
When the passer rating number,
KW, you kept showing us the passer rating.
The usage.
You kept showing the passer rating, and then we got in a whole argument about you saying how Diggs is definitively. Diggs was definitively one of the 10 best receivers in the league.
I agree with that.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Everyone else is talking about it heavily about the Eagles, and I really want to talk about it through the lens of the Patriots. I have an A.J. Brown Eagles video coming out that's going to post tomorrow. I posted such an insanely epic long video about the Eagles, and I want to let people just watch that video and not just kind of do a ton of Eagles in a single day. So I'm going to kind of spread that out, but I don't think it's a wash necessarily with Diggs and A.J. I understand the argument that Nick is trying to make here. I do. I get that. Now listen, I do think that there's a real argument that A.J. Brown is somewhat declining. He did not win at the line of scrimmage like Bruce said. That's inaccurate, but I still think that there's plenty of juice left with A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown can have a ton of success. What's interesting is that Drake May played really free last year and there was no pressure to get the ball to anyone, and I was early on Drake May praising him. I was thinking he should be the MVP. Like, I am a massive fan of Drake May, and I've already called him elite and people got mad at me. They're like, how could you dare you call him elite? Because I think he is elite. I think he's special. Having to now deal with A.J. Brown is something extra that Drake May will have to kind of manage and navigate in a while. Why that he simply has not had to. And you can tell Drake May, you can see it as clear as day. He's a really nice, kind person. Like he is on the spectrum of like the really intense fired up to the more softer spoken. Like he is definitely the more like I'm here to have fun. I'm smiling. I'm trying to compete. Like he is not the type of guy to say shut up and listen to me. You know, this is my huddle. Like, it's just different. And it's something that he's going to have to kind of, grow into. Drake. He's going to have to grow into it, and when you're dealing with big personalities and people who want the ball in this right, and that's why credit to Diggs. Diggs was an awesome person for that team, and I don't think A.J. Brown's going to be trouble. But Drake May is going to be at his best when he's just playing as free. When he's just distributing the ball how he wants, when he's using his legs how he wants, when he can just truly be free. And so they say, oh look what Tyreek Hill did for Mahomes, or look what DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler and all the other, and it's like Drake May already had that season without an A.J. Brown, without a top 5 receiver or whatever. Without someone who's clearly elite and special and just dominant. So the development that you could benefit from having a great receiver in terms of the routes you can run, the types of throws, the types of conversat. Ions that receiver is going to have with the quarterback and help him understand what receivers are looking for at the NFL level, all of that type of stuff. It's like not 100% needed, not to mention the main person who you're going to be learning and developing from is not A.J. Brown or Diggs, or it's your coordinator. It's Tom Brady's coach. The guy who's been there forever. The guy who's has a ton of experience and knows exactly what he's not working with some younger coordinator. Some new coordinator, some new play caller, some guy who's just trying to make it in the NFL. That is who those other quarterbacks had. Outside of obviously Andy Reid and Mahomes. So the relationship that ultimately matters most for Drake May is Josh. That to me is what matters more than anything else. More than anything else, more than anything else, more than anything else. I care so much more about those conversations and the conversations that A.J. Brown is going to have with Drake May. And again, I think this ends up being a net positive. I understand where Nick is saying that it kind of ends up being a wash. If you move on from Diggs and you bring in A.J. Brown, you're going to be getting similar production. And I think it'll be a lot closer than people realize. But I think it's too hard to predict what year 2 looks like for Drake May with obviously great coaching and a legitimate roster around him, because I don't care about rookie year. Like, what does year 2 look like for Drake May? Because I do believe that Drake May will continue to get better and better and better. But it's interesting because you even see the win total for the Patriots 9.5. They went to the Super Bowl, harder schedule, right? That whole conversation that has just been on the shoulders of the Patriots. And it's just like when we talk about a bigger deal or a net positive or a wash, it's like through what lens are we viewing that through? Are the Patriots going to be better? Is Drake May going to be better? Is A.J. Brown going to have more receiving yards, more touchdowns? Like, what are we actually trying to accomplish? Because I do agree, if you replace Diggs and A.J. Brown in the Super Bowl, it's the difference between winning the Super Bowl. Right? So again, that's just like if you didn't have Josh, if you didn't even have a Diggs there, if you didn't have some of that experience there and you had the success that Drake May had, then I could say, okay, we're definitely adding in an A.J. Brown. Like the things that they're going to be able to do, the routes they're going to be able to run. A.J. Brown's going to really help Drake see a lot of things differently, inside mind of an NFL receiver, blah 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 blah, and it's like, that's not necessarily the case. So if we're just talking about strict production, it's like, I don't you in order for it to be a real true bona fide 100% big step forward, big true net positive, it's a lot more on Drake May and Josh McDaniels for that matter than A.J. Brown. That's the way how I see it. This isn't like Tua Tagovailoa getting Tyreek Hill and you're like, okay, went from nothing to everything. I don't see that being the case. But I do see also now probably a lot more production in the red zone. So I could see almost like Devontae, and they're different players obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Devontae Adams, Sean McVay, A.J. Brown, Josh McDaniels type situation, right? Like but it's like, are you adding touchdowns or are you just replacing touchdowns that you already score, for instance, too? So it's a huge deal for Drake May and the New England Patriots, and I think it's really exciting and it's a great thing. But the way how this is being discussed right now, I fear it's like the idea of Drake May really raw and not a lot to work with, kind of having like he's already had a ton of success. His production was already unbelievable. And he was having, tons of success. It's just I don't think it's just necessarily 100% just addition. Now if you did have Diggs still and you did add A.J. Brown now, right? Then it's like, okay, now you're maybe cooking. Now you have a ton at your disposal. But it's just kind of like, alright, can you get O-line going, and can Drake May take less sacks? Can you take care of the ball? No more fumbles from these strip sacks. Can you get a more consistent run game going for the entire year? And does your defense continue to be great? It's like you have all those things, you're like, alright, great. Golden. So it is interesting to figure out kind of like how much A.J. Brown can add versus how much does he replace, and not even just for Diggs, mind you, right? Not just Diggs, 'cause that's the easy with the wash, but it's just like what other production, Because again Drake May was an amazing distributor. Does more of that just get funneled to A.J. Brown? If it does, then it does kind of stay, all things equal. But having an A.J. Brown definitely adds a synergistic effect where just his presence will open things up more. So it's really going to be interesting. I mean, just to further illustrate my point, Drake May had 40, essentially 4,400 yards and 31 touchdowns. It's like, does he need to throw for, again, Matthew Stafford 4,700 with Devontae, with Puka, and it's like only a few hundred more yards. It's like, does adding A.J. Brown now automatically mean like, okay, boom. That's an extra 300 yards and an extra 15 touchdowns. That would be pretty wild. That would be quite wild. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Drake May and the New England Patriots seems all but official finally locking this into place, getting A.J. Brown? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.